why can't we take the plays of Shakespeare and Shaw across the country, and we do it without scenery, we'll just do it in a bus and travel across. And so they got some of the better actors from Stratford, and including Franny Highland and others.
And the only really good, inspiring Canadian theatre I ever saw in Winnipeg was the Canadian Players when they first came out. Bruno Gerussi and Dougie Campbell, Franny Highland, and I forget who else was in. I guess Dougie's wife. I've forgotten her name now. But they were sensational. They did a 4-person St. Joan, and I couldn't believe that something produced in Canada could be that good. That's really what decided me that that theatre was worth taking a hand in.
But we were aware very quickly of a thing called the Canadian Players, and yet it had only been going 1 or 2 years. Maybe even, that might even have been the very first year they took it on the road. But suddenly we were seeing Stratford on the road, and that was terribly exciting. Douglas Campbell, Franny Highland, Bruno Gerussi, Douglas Rain, all of these people taking part in that particular year, Julius Caesar, St. Joan, I think maybe those two. Limited budget, obviously, but very, very stylish and put together in a very, very clever, contemporary sense.
And I like to think that because of the Canadian Players, people in each community, like Winnipeg, like Calgary, like Edmonton, like Regina and whatnot, said, well, this is causing quite a furore. People are obviously hungry for this kind of experience, so why don't we make our own?
As I said, there was something abroad in the country. People had theatre. They'd had the Dominion Drama Festival and a lot of things like that. And although we went places that hadn't ever had any theatre at all, we went to a lot of places with quite a lot of sophisticated people who wanted to bring us in because they thought it would be good for the community to have a play.
Dougie's whole philosophy, you see, was it's all very nice to have Stratford, this beautiful theatre with a good-sized budget, though it wasn't so big in those days as it is now, doing wonderful plays by Shakespeare, etc., etc. But what about all the rest of the country, which is quite a bit larger than Stratford? So that was his whole intention.
And my first job professionally was playing Cassius and Julius Caesar and 3 small parts in St. John in modern dress, and there were 10 of us in a bus, and we went from St. John's out to, I don't think we quite got to Vancouver Island, but certainly the interior of BC, and that lasted 6 months, and we played in everywhere, Flin Flon, mining camps, Indian reserves, small towns, huge towns, Jubilee auditoriums in Calgary and Edmonton.
Although we had audiences that had never seen anything like that before, perhaps it was quite a good thing because we were pretty skin and bone. We did Peer Gynt with a couple of pairs of step ladders and a plank, you know, and a little back cloth and very little lighting. And St. Joan was done in modern dress, well, not modern dress, just in grey business suits, a sort of uniformity with crosses, and Joan dressed in a jersey with a hood on it. And we had a table and 2 benches and 4 stools, I think, and some screens. So it really was cut down to basic nothing.
If Bill Hutt was coming as the Archbishop, he stuck on a purple bib with a cross on it, and he was the Archbishop. When he came as the Earl of Warwick, he took that insignia off and became the Earl of Warwick.
But I think that kind of energy and imagination was much appreciated, and although occasionally we'd come across people say, oh, we came to see a nice scene, you know, or something. Generally speaking, people were very appreciative of the fact that, oh, wonderful words and marvelous things happened, you know. And I've met a great deal, many people since in Canada who were influenced, came into the theatre because the first thing they'd ever seen was St. Joan or Peer Gynt or Hamlet that we did.